we now dive into a one-on-one conversation titled Engineering Continuity, How Integrated IT Services Turn Risk into Resilience. I'd like to welcome on stage Mr. Jagan, Enterprise Account Manager, Skylark Information Technology Private Limited, a customer success and business technology professional specializing in B2B IT services. He brings strong focus on enterprise engagement and value delivery. With hands-on experience in client interaction and technology-driven solutions, he drives pragmatic, results-oriented outcomes for enterprise customers. Welcome, Mr. Jagan. For this session, he will be in conversation with Mr. Suresh Raghavan, Chief Technology Officer, The Hindu. Let's give them a round of applause.
So we are between you and your lunch now. So we'll make sure that this is very informative. So continuity today isn't a recovery plan. It's an engineered outcome. In this conversation, we explore how integrated IT services across infrastructure, security, cloud, and data come together to keep organizations, operations in the face of disruption. So before we start, Jagan, I would want you to give a background about your organization and what you're doing.
So good afternoon all. So myself Jagan, so I'm coming from Skylark Information Technologies. So we are a global system integrator, so where we have started our journey in 1993, so close to 33 years we're in the market. So we have pan-India presence, so we have our headquarters in Chennai and we have spread across multiple locations within India. And we also have our global presence at US, Singapore, Dubai and Netherlands as well. So in addition to that, we have been excelling in multiple technologies, so which could be more from a security perspective, or it could be from a networking or complete infrastructure cloud. So these are the major portfolios that we take out.
So as an integrated service provider, so when business goes down today because of a issue in the information technology ecosystem, do we see this an IT outage or it's a business survival event?
Yeah, so that's actually an interesting question, sir. So before answering to that question, so as a Skylark, we majorly classify our technologies that caters for, one could be for infrastructure, second one is for data, third one is your application. Your application could be on cloud or it could be on-premise, and fourth one is on security. So how these four is going to be integrated? Because nowadays, all these technologies are not just bolted, it has been integrated so that you form a proper solution out of it. So that's how Skylark works in the market. And answering to your question, so any business outage or if any IT outage is not just your application is going down or your business is going down. So beyond that, it is about your, you lose your customer trust. So your revenue goes down, your brand, the company brand also goes down, and your regulatory compliances risk increases. So that's what happens when your application or if you get any security attack or if you get outage of your application happens, right? So in these important aspects, so I wanted to add one more thing. So when your application or when your business is down, so it's not just about going to impact your IT environment or your business, it is beyond that. Because especially if you take about manufacturing customers, so there is something called OT floor, operational technology, which most of us would be aware of here. So in that case, OT and IT is almost integrated because even the digital goes for OT environments also. So when OT system goes on, say for example for a pharmaceutical industry, where they manufacture critical medicines that goes for multiple purposes. It could be for cancer treatment or it could be for any vaccination for babies. So if any OT security attack is happening, so it's not just going to give a business disruption. It is going to even cause a major life threat also. So that's how any application threat goes on. So Skylark Information Technologies, in this matter, we have come out with an OT security solution. So basically we have a center of excellence, which is India's first center of excellence for OT technology, OT security in that case. So that has been in Chennai, T-Nagar office. So that is in-house first OT security center of excellence. So there what we do is like we first talk about how we are going to segment between OT and IT traffic. Because as I've mentioned, OT and IT is already combined or it's been segregated in that way. So how we are going to segregate between OT and IT matters a lot. And if you see from a manufacturing industry, the big machines, so those would be like 30 years old, 40 years old machines. Because like IT, we have a very shorter lifespan, so we change the devices very frequent. But for manufacturing industry, that's not the case. So the devices age would be like 30 years, 40 years, which cannot be changed very frequently also. How we are going to do the virtual patching, or it could be proper secure remote access. So all this case is what Skylark has been providing to many manufacturing customers, so that to enhance OT security, to avoid the business disruption, as well as to cause zero threats to the lives as well.
So I understand then you work across multiple industries, right?
Yes.
So what is the biggest gap you see in the continuity planning?
So in this case, so we work for, Skylark works for top banks within India. So we work for manufacturing plants, we work for IT sectors, we work for retails, healthcare. So these are automobiles. So these are the major sectors which we work with. So generally what happens is continuity plan or being resilient. So both are different. So when we talk about continuity, so it is more of a documents. So it is more of a procedure. So okay, to have my business continuity, I have to follow, these are the procedures, these are the documents which we have. But something being resilient is a head up above. So it is more of a behavioral pattern. So how, when if any disruption is happening, so how your organization is going to have a resilient, how far it is being a resilient matters a lot in terms of being an continuity plan. So that's what happens. Because if you see most of an organization, they say as per compliance to have a business continuity plan, so we are going to have, these are the key parameters. But when it comes for a real life scenarios where there is a disruptions, right? Because we see most of our customers, when they face any disruptions, so they say we have followed the protocols, but that is not going to be enough. So you need something above that, where you engineer yourself, where you engineer your systems, right? So that's where Skylark comes into the picture. So we understand our customer environment, so we make sure beyond continuity, making the system resilient also plays a plays a major role. So that's what it is all about.
So in that case, a follow-up to that is how do modern recovery environment looks like?
Yeah, so recovery, I would say is most of the traditional system talks about backups, right? So when we talk about backup is all about, say for example, I go to a customer. So as a customer says I have a proper backup mechanism in place. But when actual issue comes, people say, yes, I have this backup data which have been taken for long. But we don't know what all the interdependent systems are there. So in that case, we need to have a proper recovery plan. So backup is just having copies of your data, but recovery is actually the capability to keep the momentum up. So that's what I would say in that case. Say for example, answering to your question on modern technologies, right? So we have been specialized, so Skylark has been specialized in providing a lot of backup solutions like disaster recovery as a service. Because you have your core applications which is sitting in your data center, right? And you need to have a proper DR. So when, say for example, if there is any major havoc that has been happening to your data center, so how your system be is very resilient. Because we were speaking down the line 5 years back. So we were speaking when cloud was much, like how AI is being buzzed now. So when cloud was buzzword. So we were speaking on RPO, RTO terminologies and all. But nowadays, we wanted a system which cannot have any RPO values. So it has to be complete when my DC goes down. So automatically how my DR goes up. So it could be in like a proper DC DR automatic failover switch, or it could be in terms of having a proper replication could also be in place. So in this case, especially for IT sectors, or it could be from a type of a banking sectors, so we do have something called multi-cloud solutions, because we have tie-up with AWS, we have tie-up with Azure, Oracle Cloud. So these are the major cloud service providers which are under MITRE certifications, right? So we make sure customers' applications are securely put up in DC as well as in DR, so it could be cloud or on-premise again. How the replication happens, it could be an active-active replication, it could be active-passive replication. So that's where we come into the picture to integrate. So for example, recently we have done for one of the financial sector, so we have done an SD-WAN project which was for close to the 700 locations. So in that case, what happens? Their data center was in on-premises, and they had a DR which is in AWS cloud. So how this SD-WAN, I have to deploy it in both on-premise data center as well as in a cloud DR, and I have to integrate with all the 700 branches. So that's where the key metal of Skylark comes into the picture, where we make sure the complete integration happens in place.
Okay, so now, cyber incidents is most critical thing that we are looking at, right? So how has cybersecurity become a core part of continuity strategy in organizations today?
Yeah, so when we all say about cybersecurity, right? So whatever cybersecurity you have in platform, so it could be multiple technologies. So one word which becomes more is proactive. So that's how our cybersecurity has to be. So when we talk about SOC, Security Operations Center, right? So we do have our NOC and SOC centers. So when we talk about SOC, so most of the customers, especially bankings or IT or retails, so they say they wanted to integrate to a SOC solution. So SOC solution is not just having 4 or 5 solutions that is being stitched together, because SOC would be having somewhere close to 50, 60 technologies, and we all know on daily basis some new technology, some new security technology adds up. So in that case, how Skylark SOC supports customer, so that is also a major place. And there is something called SIM solution, right? So because nowadays we speak a lot on AI and automation. So how this security information event management, which is called as a SIM solution, so which majority of the banking or financial sector that uses. So this SIM solution is something like, say for example, for a clear understanding. So this SIM solution is kind of an command control center, so which actually puts a lot of postulates to collect the logs from your entire network and analyze and correlate based on the analytics what is the correlation happening, so that we get to know what kind of malicious happens. So that is one. So and adding up to your question, so second one, in addition to SIM, we also have something called EDR, so which is endpoint detection response. So most of the bottleneck plays we see is from an endpoint, end users, right? So in that case, how this SIM and EDR correlates into giving a layered security plays a major role. So these are the major things, like putting up a proper SOC, or it could be deploying a SIM for your organization, or putting up an EDR solution. So that's where Skylark plays a pioneer role into it.
So, what we see generally when there is a incident, organizations have to deal with multiple vendors because they have products from different vendors, and during a crisis, interacting with so many different vendors becomes a big challenge. So that playbook itself is very big. So in what way an integrated service providers can play a role to reduce this burden on organizations?
Yeah. So I think this would be my most favorite questions, because the USP of Skylark is we have been a multi-technology platform. So we have, as I've initially mentioned, right, so any organization, so we categorize into 4 categories. First one is on infrastructure, second one is data, third one is application, and fourth one is security. So these are the major components of any organization IT sector revolves around. So if you take about Skylark, so we have multiple portfolios. So it could be, one would be from a networking perspective. So putting up a proper connectivity, end-to-end connectivities. It could be SD-WAN, or it could be providing a wireless solution where we have recent wireless Wi-Fi 7E, because earlier we were into Wi-Fi 6, but now we are into Wi-Fi 7E. So that is also in market. Second one would be from a cyber security perspective. So it could be your network, or it could be application, or it could be endpoint. So third is again on cloud. Fourth one is on your compute, storage, backup. And fifth one is managed services. So these are all how we deal with. So we have a very good we have very good technical capabilities, so that revolves around these four business units. So when, say, for example, a customer, when there's some issue for a customer, so one IT person, the security team would say, the issue is from our network side, so the link is down. When you go to a networking person, right, so they say, no, we are all proper, there's something, firewall port is not been happening, so you should monitor your WAF, so there is issues in WAF. So the finger pointing happens both the cases. So that's where Skylark comes into the picture. So we make sure, as a being a under a single umbrella, like a unified approach. So we are aware what exactly the issue is. So we understand, we get into the field and we try to understand where exactly the issue. So in that case, we have been providing NOC and MSP solutions, so which is called Managed Services Platform. In addition, if you add, it is also called MSSP, which is Managed Security Service Platform. So in that case, so how we make sure we monitor, we have, as I mentioned, we have a NOC solution also. So we monitor multiple products. It could be your server or it could be your endpoints, EDR, network switches and everything. So for manufacturing or banking or IT sectors. So that's where we play a major role when it is a multi-technology concept, where we use our in-house technical expert.
So with the DPDP already announced, data privacy is one thing that everybody is talking about, right? So data privacy regulations are tightening globally also. So how are privacy failures now becoming continuity risks rather than just compliance issues?
Okay. So in this case, so when we talk about DPDP or 2023 Act, right? So we have our presence in multiple countries. Say, for example, each country will have their own data regulations. So India, we have got DPDP, which has been fully enforced, or probably it would also get into a matured stage, version 2, version 3 would come out. So we also have US, we also have it Singapore and Europe presence as well, where we work with a lot of large-scale IT customers who has a global presence. So in that case, understanding each country's what is their data regulation also major role. And I would see this data privacy predominantly contains with privacy failures. So what happens is like your data is like getting compromised, or data is not being properly authorization factor is not being put up. So it could become a small phishing email. So you made sure your entire network is completely secured. But a small phishing mail could cause a great havoc, right? So it could, say for example, if you're going for healthcare, a small phishing mail could bring your entire system down. So in that case, how we make sure all the data protection happens in a proper way. So it could be from deploying a DLP solution, which is data leakage protection solution. So all this is what matters a lot. So what happens is we need to have a zero trust in place. So it's not just like I would say this privacy failure is actually loss of trust, not the loss of technology, because technology is not failing there. So trust is actually failing there. So we have to make sure zero trust is in place, and it cannot happen by just focusing on single components. Right? It has to be focused on integrating multiple end user devices as well.
So I'm going to put you in my shoes now. The CEO asks you, what should I fix first to ensure my business services, the next major disruption is able to face the next major disruption? What would you say?
Okay, so thanks for that question, sir. So basically, I would say the first disruption happens with identity and access, because most of us make sure, because nowadays even customers are more matured than other players, right? So you have all the information in hand. We get what is happening, news everywhere and all. So in that case, what is to be done and how things has to be taken up. But only thing is, so what are the major things that fail up is, so we make sure, as a customer, you make sure you protect your network in a large scale. It could be your whole sum of your critical applications which has been put up in data center. But majorly what happens is your identity and access, especially from an endpoint users, right? So that's where the major issue comes. Because as I've earlier mentioned, a small access to an end user device could bring a huge havoc to it. So identity access is one where we have come out with good solutions on putting authentication, authenticator, or could be a proxy solutions. So which we have tie up with again major security players. So which we especially take to banking, financial sector. So that's what Skylark has been doing proficiently, or it could be a proactive material. And second one, I would say from a visibility purpose. So what happens like when there is no visibility of what is happening in your environment, so you will not know what all the challenges or what all the threats that is been awaiting for your network, right? So in that case, what we do is like we make sure you have a proper visibility platform. When I say visibility platform, it's not just going to show you the heartbeat of each device. So it is going to proactively bring a lot of AI analytics to it. So this is what the issue is happening. So you will also get a lot of, like say for example, Skylark has done a major project. So where it has been integrating globally 300 locations. So all these 300 locations, there are multiple devices. There are like switches, there are Wi-Fi, there are NAC solutions. So how these solutions I bring into a single visibility platform, not just only for checking the monitoring aspect. I also wanted to have a clear picture if any issue is coming, so that the device or the tool itself provides me a analytics what could be done. Say for example, so that I don't depend on my central team. The tool itself says, and any layman or L1 resource could follow the instructions and could do it. So that's how Skylark has built a lot of solutions in terms of analytics that we take for a visibility platform. So these are the major two. One is from an identity and access, and second one is from an visibility purpose. So these are the major challenges.
In fact, thanks for telling this. I'm going to keep this recording because this year in our budget, these are the two important things we are actually adding.
Sure, sir. So I think hope post this
help me
meeting,
now.
Post this meeting, we'll quickly connect for that
Yes.
to take it forward.
So looking ahead, so what does a resilient enterprise looks like? And what role does an integrated IT partner like Skylark is going to bring to the table on that?
Okay, so as I've initially mentioned, so it's not just having a continuity plan, or it's not just making sure you have a proper recovery, a backup. So you have to have the complete capability to keep the momentum up if there is any destruction is happening, right? So in that case, Skylark majorly focuses on three. So our major strength where we have from a networking or cloud. On top of it, security plays a major role, because these days we have a lot from AI and automation is also being pumped up. So in that case, security as a service, cyber security as a service. So many who would have visited our stall outside. So our major theme itself would be cyber security as a service. So in that case, we segregate into three. One is from your network security. Second one is your application security. That application could be on cloud, or it could be on on-premise data center. So third one is from an enterprise endpoint security. So how these three things are stitched together, because it cannot act as an independent. So it has to be stitched together as a fabric. So that's where Skylark comes into the picture, to make sure your network, your application, as well as your endpoints are strongly tightened with various technologies. For example, if you say network, it is also, it could be from a NAC solution. So I would like to highlight this. So there is something called a NAC solution, which is Network Access Control Solution, right? So which has been mandated by RBI to be deployed in all the banking and financial sectors. So what happens is, say for example, there could be a lot of users who is accessing your network. So in that case, how my system, how this NAC solution is going to protect whether this particular device that is accessing your network is a proper device, or is it some anomaly or something. So if I define certain postulates in my NAC, I put certain policies in my NAC solution, and based on those policies, if you're complying, if I'm getting the check mark against all those postulates, the device would be given access to the network. Else, the device would be put into a quarantine zone. So that's how your network security comes into the picture. There is something called application security, as we have mentioned more from a high availability perspective on a business continuity plan to have a disaster recovery as a service, or it could be DCDR automation, which we have recently done for a largest bank. And third one, again, it's from an endpoint security. So how this endpoint security as a layered security works along with SIM. So these are the major three which we, I would say, highly has to be integrated for a resilient enterprise organization. On top of it, say for example, we have done one case for a customer on terms of AI and automation. So where if there is any issue that has been coming, the person who is sitting in the NOC, so he gets an automated call. So nothing is manual here. So he gets an automated call, an automated voice comes up saying that your particular switch has gone down or your particular firewall has gone down. And I say, okay, what is the remedies for it? So that voice itself gives you a solution, what can be done. So I say, okay, go ahead and do it. Because I have an authorization to give a go ahead. And it does it and the issue gets resolved. So here what happens is, because of this AI and automation, I can reduce the burden on my team, on your team, basically on L1 burden could be reduced so that if any major issue, then where L2 of Skylark comes into the play. So these are the things. And finally, to put a note, the three data has to be strongly checked upon. So which is data in play, which is from an endpoint perspective, data in motion, which is from a network traffic, and data hold, so which is from a storage perspective. So these are again three more checkpoints which also has to be need a strong security postures to be done.
I think our time's up, and thanks Jagan for coming up and helping us understand how a integrated service provider can actually help augment the resilient ecosystem within an organization.
Thank you so much.
So if there's any questions from the audience, we can take one question before we break. Yeah, please.
Hi.
Yeah.
So you did mention on disaster recovery, you provide SaaS, right? Yeah. So is it like with regard to the on-prem setup, or like is it with including the cloud?
So basically what happens, disaster recovery, you get a lot of options. So this particular disaster recovery, it could be your on-premises or it could be your cloud as well. So most of, say for example, we work with major banks, so where they prefer to have DC on-prem and DR also on-prem because they wanted to have a lot more tighter security. But if you go for an IT sector, so they'll have DC on-prem and DR would be on cloud. So when I mention about disaster recovery as a service, so it's not just about where your application is residing at. So it could be on-prem or it could be at cloud. So together the services could be rendered upon.
Thank you, and thank you, Jagan. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.